was born. Then after that, the bank moved in. The bank was there until the Depression. And after the bank closed, then that was used for the city hall. And then when he was running for president, it was the national honorary headquarters for his campaign.
Is that the building with all the flags?
No, it's just this same building. About 4 years ago, the owners of this building, who were the ones who collected all of the memorabilia and everything and pictures, had passed away. This was up for sale, and this is completely run by volunteers, and there's no government funding or anything. A gentleman from Chicago purchased the buildings. He discovered that all the fixtures from the bank had been stored in the basement, so he has had the bank reconstructed to look exactly as an early 1900 bank. And they found the floor plans and everything, and so that was all put back together. So we have the movie posters to look at. They're in this next room, and the bank to look at, and then we can go upstairs and see the apartment. He came back. He was here in 1976 when he first ran for president and was defeated. Then he promised us he would come back again. And on Mother's Day in 1992, he came back, and he and Nancy attended the church that he and his mother had gone to. And this is outside of the church here. This is the pastor. He's still serving. And here she is, and he's got his Bible in his hand. Then after the church service, they went down here to the Dutch diner and had lunch. And then they came down here. And you'll see they were prepared for him to come. He stepped here. A lot of places are famous for someone having slept there, but he stepped here. Records, by hand back in the old days. And there's a bank record inside here showing Mrs. Reagan actually even had some money in this bank.
Oh. Sounds like she was a very frugal woman.
Yes, she was. The apartment upstairs rented for $10 a month, and Jack made $1 a day clerking.
That's a lot of money.
And so she took in some sewing and such as well. But over here you see, and it was her money. That's her name, Mrs. Jack Reagan. She had $124.
Wow.
And when they moved all the fixtures out and used this for other things, the one thing they didn't have was the vault. And here is the vault. This weighs 8,000 pounds, and they moved it. It came in by rail from Cincinnati, and the bank originally opened across the street, and then they moved it over here. So can you imagine moving something like this? But, this is the inside of it. You look at the workmanship, back in the old days. This was a little safe for the bank to use, and then they had lock boxes here for the customers to rent, just like we have nowadays. So some things haven't changed a whole lot. Other things have.
Except the doors.
Yeah.
8,000 pounds. Look at this check canceller.
Yeah. Years ago, when you'd write a check, it would go to the bank and be recorded, and then they would cancel it and send it back home to you. This also had a time lock with it. So at night, when they'd shut the vault up, they'd wind these up just like you do an alarm clock. And until they had run down, you couldn't get into there, otherwise the burglar alarm would go off.
Someone tried to break in here?
Well, they weren't able to get the combination to work when they redid this, and so they went ahead and got into it. This way you can see how it's lined with cement. It's just,
no wonder it's so heavy.
Yeah.
And with all the locks.
We have the check canceller here. Here's a souvenir for you with today's date on it. It's paid August 13th.
Tampico.
picture was taken up in Dixon. I don't know if you're aware that the Walgreens stores that are all around the country, they started from Dixon. And Luella Parsons, who used to be a gossip columnist, she's from there. So this, they had a Luella Parsons Day, and all of these movie men were in attendance. Bob Hope and Jerry Colonna and Joey Brown and George Montgomery and Ronald Reagan all honored her.
She had a lot of power between she and Hedda Hopper.
All the things they did.
They were afraid of him.
So, but now to see the upstairs, we have to go outside.
All right.
Do that. None of the furniture is the Reagans, but it's very typical of the time when they would have lived here.
It was pretty spacious.
It surprises people. It's a 3-bedroom apartment, and each bedroom had a walk-in closet, which in the early days they seldom did. They had electricity, they had the telephone, they had the coal stoves, they did have the skylight when they lived here, but they did not have running water. So you can see after the second baby came with all those 20 steps to have to run up and down, they were ready to, move out.
So where would they get the water?
The pump house and the outhouse were located out back.
Oh, an outhouse too. Wow.
And this picture is the Wilson family. Nell was a Wilson, and that's her, and this is her sisters and brothers. And here he is with his hand on his chin again, and that's his brother over there. And for entertainment, they could listen to the Victrola. I tell kids that's the early CD player.
Yeah, right.
Or they could look at the stereoptic. Have you seen these before? It's, early Viewmaster.
You want to see? It gives you this 3D thing.
With the camel.
Okay. And as I said, his mother was a very Christian lady, and her Bible was used in both inaugurations. We don't have her Bible here, but this is typical of the one that was used. And it was turned to her favorite Bible verse, which was the 7th chapter of the 14th verse of 2nd Chronicles. And it's, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. And she had written in the margin of her Bible that it was a most wonderful verse for the healing of nations. Now that's the actual bedroom both boys were born in.
Oh, it looks so small now.
So we had a huge snowstorm the night before he was born February 6th. And the doctor was able to make it fine, though, because his office was right down here in the corner, and they lived upstairs. So it worked out well. He was assistant. This is the original woodwork and floors. When they were redoing this, they went down 5 layers of wallpaper, discovered this pattern here in the dining room, had it duplicated, and they're quite sure that this was what was on the dining room walls at the time that they were living here.